Welcome, welcome, welcome. Two Brothers and an Idea. I am. They call me Ferdinand, the bringer of balance, leader of many disciplines, and one of your hosts of Two Brothers and an Idea. And I'm here with the infamous, you already know, the big dog, Tetaun.
Peace, man. Good to see you always. Good conversation as always. And man, weather's been nice. A lot of sunshine and a lot of conversation, man. So I look forward to the topic today. A different time. I enjoyed the conversation you all had last week, man. It was really dope.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Last week's conversation for everyone out there, we talked about telepathy and attraction. Very, very powerful, innate qualities that we all have. Definitely tap into those, get an understanding, use them for righteousness. Today, we're going to be talking about collectivism versus individualism. And this is a topic that is being touched on by quite a few people in the conscious community as well as outside of it, looking at how we live, looking at if the way we're living around the world is effective for how the generations to follow are to move.
Yeah, it's I think that conversation is always a topic or a subtopic in many elements of our seasonal politics, right? You hear a lot of times when election season comes around, you hear these conversations as well. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts and some of the guest thoughts and those who want to contribute their opinions and perspectives, man. I think we'll have a good conversation and a lot to take from it.
I agree with you. Before I move forward, everybody out there, please love, comment, share. I'm going to go ahead right now and put the link in the comments for anybody who'd like to come in the room and touch on collectivism versus individualism. And we will be touching lightly on what's going on in the political space because that is connected to collectivism versus individualism. So definitely please come on in the studio. The link is in the comments. And I like what you said, Teton, about what's going on with the political space. We've recently had in America, in the United States of America, we've recently had our president imbued with unprecedented power.
Mhm.
And this is different because in the past, that ultimate power was based upon if we were in a wartime space.
Right.
And now it's also based on us being in a space of garrison, a space of peacetime, right?
Mhm.
Well, how does that tie into individualism and collectivism?
Well, I think before we look at that, I think what is individualism? What is collectivism? Let's go back there, right?
Yeah,
I think when you
I
think
think that's
about
a good one.
the way I see a time of peace as it relates to individualism, everybody's really thinking about what is in their best interest of themselves, right? On the
Yes.
surface, on the surface. And so when there's peace in the garrison, everybody's having a good time. Nothing matters. There's no one paying attention to the details because everything feels good, and there's happiness and there's excitement, whatever that season is. But when wartime comes, if we're not acute to the season or the time, or understanding that it's not just about me as an individual, it's about us as a team, as one, right? So many become one. Then how do we fight? How do we prepare to fight? And we want to be proactive instead, reactive, not so much reactive, but we want to be proactive in these days and times as we look upon these political wartime spaces that we hear in the internet or on the airways. So it's pretty interesting.
I would agree with you. So I'm glad you brought up what the dictionary definition of these words are because that becomes important. So when we look at collectivism, what Google gives us from Oxford is the practice or principle of giving a group priority
Right.
over each individual in it. Okay, so different types of collectivism societies. A lot of them are Far East. We have many in Africa. I would say in the Western world, we're more moving in an individualism type of way. So let's go
Right.
ahead and touch that real quick. All right. So individualism, according to Oxford and Google, is the habit or principle of being independent and self-reliant. Well, one of the things that I like to bring up when it comes down to individualism is this. Individualism, one of the things that it breeds is divide and conquer. For those who come upon that strategy and those types of tactics
Right.
for that they want to conquer.
Right.
This breeds that as an ability to win in that space. But in the collectivism type of mindset, now we're moving more in a spiritual space. Uh, Collectivism is about the whole, right? And the whole is what gives us absolute truth. When we only have pieces of the whole, now we have illusions. And then it kind of can create a pathway of us living in a dream within a dream within a dream and may not even know it.
Yeah. Yeah. The delusion of a lot of these things that we're talking about as it relates to individualism and collectivism. Um, I have my own perspective on it, and it could be, maybe I'm stuck on one end of the spectrum or another. But I just believe that when I think about individualism and this whole great prepare to fight, me as an individual it's obvious that we have responsibilities, but when you think about your family, when you think about those that look like you, when you think about those that you have influence over, that you could lead, that you could be an example to in your own home, and making them the priority so that you can teach them to be able to go outside their community, that home, and teach others. And then here comes, if you duplicate these models, right, then we are collectively working together as one. I'll land this way. The problem is the oneness of who we are is all messed all up. You know what I'm saying? All jacked all up and twisted. And we're trying to run out here and be the collective. And that's where we keep falling short, because one, envy, greed, and all the other little green things that take place. And that's just my lens. Don't pay me no attention. That's just the way I look at certain things. But I do understand what the dictionary says when we talk about individualism and collectivism.
It's right. It's right though. Like the reality of what you just said is this correct.
Yeah.
We have to look at the reality that the individuals do make the whole, right? But because the individuals are thinking individualistic, now we've created a problem. Everybody is the king,
There you
everybody's the
go.
queen, and all of this, instead of people understanding that everybody's got to play a role in this. And if you do want to be the king or the queen in this situation, well,
Right.
that's based on how you decide to walk in this life. That's based
Right.
on on your actions, your words, and your deeds, how you choose to use those gifts and talents that you have,
Right.
using maturity, accountability, responsibility, humility, and sacrifice at
Right.
the right times in the right spaces. And all of those things kind of help to unfold your royalty, help to unfold your leadership, and
Right.
the people gravitate to it or they don't.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. 100%. Right now, I'm in the process of understanding the idea of unity and individualism and collectivism when you think about communication, when you think about thought, and being able to get that thought on the same frequency of the ones that you love and appreciate and support every day. We don't necessarily be able to do that consistently, right? So when you think about becoming one, working in the community, or being unified with the individuals that you love in your family, that family unit is important. And to be able to train that family unit and get them to think and utilize their gifts and abilities, they can go out and duplicate the work. So imagine if there is we put principles in place with one first as a father, one first as a mother, as an uncle, somebody in your community, as a leader, anyone, to be able to birth a healthy pathway and eliminate a greater portion of our excuses, Ferdinand. I think a lot of times the excuse is us.
I would agree with you that the excuse is us more often than not. Fritz came up here, I don't know, 6, 7 episodes ago,
Yeah.
and one of the things that he talked about was generational wealth, but he talked
Yes.
about it from a different perspective. And he talked about it from a perspective of collectivism, and I really appreciated it, and I want to kind of touch that for a second, real quick. So he talked about how the community needs to come together and bring their talents and their gifts together. But what he also said was the elders, they need to be at these gatherings and they need to be the ones saying, all right, okay, oh yeah, this one right here, this child, they got a great legal mind. This one right here, they're starting a law firm for the community, right? So, and then they start talking to the parents about
Right.
how to achieve that. No matter what the circumstances, no matter what the parents are missing, the elders are focused on making sure that the parents have those things. Obviously, the parents got to earn them. You know,
Right.
they can't just have them, but they help them achieve that. And then they do the same thing with all the other things in the community that are important. This person right here is going to grow the food. This child right here, this child is eventually going to be our high priest. You know, so that type of collectivism is one of the things that we're majorly missing in the community, and I think that we need to implement that. We need these elders to take their positions, take their place, step up in their leadership, and identify these children's gifts and talents for these parents who might be, you know, they might have their focus on something else, you know,
Right.
shipyard,
Right.
teaching children every day at the schoolhouse, got a great papers when I come home. They trying to get the money, they're trying to keep the bills paid. Well, maybe there's not as much of that challenge on the older generation. Step in and tell these parents, listen,
Right.
this is what this child is gifted at, and we need to cultivate that. We need to help this child achieve that. We need to see what this child's dreams are, what their goals are, what they want out of life, and we need to help that child
Exactly.
achieve that. And I think that this is a big part of collectivism that we've been missing
Yeah.
in the families in the United States of America.
100%, man. I mean, what more can you say when you think about people working together, right? Building partnerships, networks, and we all have, you know, the same mind. You know, you hear it all the time. How can two people walk together unless they agree? What are we agreeing upon? What is the contract? What is the unity? What is the relationship? Why am I even connected to you? What is my intent? You know, and so if we're trying to get to the same place with the same common goal, then there's a level of oneness even in our collectivism, if that's even a word. You understand where I'm going? So I just think, man, you know, it's exciting because as we talk about what is not, I honestly believe and have witnessed what is.
That is powerful. While we talk about what isn't, I've experienced what is, and I would have to say that I share that I've experienced what is, and
So
because
that
I've
that
experienced,
puts us in a greater place of responsibility now, right? As you said.
yes, absolutely, and that's part of the reason why you and I are here today on episode 18 that's focused on collectivism versus individualism. This is part of the reason why we created Two Brothers and an Idea as a podcast, as a way to get this message out there to those who see the importance of it. Um, it's about collectivism. It always has been. It should be. Now, yes, it is also about individualism. There are a bunch of us who are operating in that space. But we need to come back to what our ancient ancestors did. Our ancient ancestors moved as one. One of the stories that I talk about often in collectivism, it's a little brutal, but it makes the point very strong.
Uh
So like
huh.
down in the bush, Guyana, Haiti, and a bunch of other countries, if a parent does some dirty ish to somebody's wife or to their children,
Uh
and
huh.
and that parent is respected in the community. Well, you didn't do a slight to that parent. You did a slight to that whole community, and they walk into your house with machetes. The whole community. You can never buy from there again. You can
Never,
never trade with them
never.
again if you live through that day. If you make it through that day, you can never be seen in that area again because you'll be killed on sight.
Right.
And this is the community acting. Now, I'm not saying that we need to get to that point where we machete and mofos up or nothing like that.
No, you don't want to do
But
that.
I do think that we need to move together in justice
Right.
and in integrity and in love and in compassion and empathy, but also in those five that I'm consistently hammering: maturity, accountability,
Sure.
responsibility, humility, and sacrifice. We need to move as one within these, and it easily makes us a fist. Without that, we leave ourselves vulnerable to attack. We
Right.
leave ourselves vulnerable to nonsense, that problems that we're creating for
Yeah.
ourselves.
Exactly.
Because in collectivism, grandma is going to be like, listen, baby, don't do that no more.
Yeah.
Right.
Get your
And
hands off the hot. Get your hand off the stove.
if you respect collectivism, if you respect that type of mindset, you're not going to do that again because grandma told you not to. Right. Well, what if it's not your grandma? Maybe it's Tetaun's grandma who told Ferdinand, hey son, hey son, don't step over there anymore, okay? Keep your
Right.
feet out of that area right there. All
Right.
right. That woman over there, stop talking to her.
Right.
Okay. Leave her alone. In collectivism, I'm supposed to be listening to Tetaun grandma. She a queen mother. In collectivism. In individualism, man, this old lady over here told me to stop talking to this jank right here. Man, look at her, bro. Looking good. Looking good on sundress. You already know. Hourglass.
Boy, you going to jail.
But in individualism, this is the mindset. So what does it do? It produces a certain type of result
Hmm.
in the way that we communicate, in the way that our actions come out. And I just gave a demonstration of these two different ways of moving because of how they produce different results. Where if you got all these individuals out here,
Right.
and they got very few collectivisms over here. Well, what happens is you have a variation of a bunch of thoughts and actions and words and deeds that are aligned with wickedness. They're aligned with chaos, lack,
Mhm.
limitation, disaster, that are lined with, let me get this money. That's lined with, I got to make sure that I got the double long clip.
Yeah, and
That's
where we
lined
going?
with, they got to be hollow tips, right? Where are we going?
Yeah.
Destruction, chaos, lack, limitation, disaster. But within collectivism, moving in righteousness, where are we moving? Everlasting life more abundantly.
Mhm. Exactly. And it's always good to pick those two apart and really digest what it really means. What these words mean. A lot of times I hear these words being used in conversations, and we often repeat a lot what we hear, but not fully understanding the impact, the greater impact if you repeat what you understand now, right? Or what you overstand.
Yeah, because you walked in it. Now you know it.
Exactly. And it's not a discredit to those who may not have experienced a lot of the things that we speak about, but I think the credit goes to the person who is still being critical to the authenticity of the challenges and the stories that we share. It's because you got over. You didn't make the mistake that I made. So bravo to you for being an advanced citizen in this game called, life, right?
And the thing is, they didn't even get over. They was just able to bypass the consequences that
Right,
time. It's
right.
eventually gonna smack them on the ass so hard that they sitting back like, dang, I really didn't get away with
Right.
that. Because Nipsey Hussle said it best before he passed. He did an interview and he said, listen, man, you might get away from the cops. You might be able to run from the
Yeah.
cops, get away after you just stole some Skittles from the store, or you might be able to get away from mama giving you the whooping or the spanking or whatever. But nobody escapes the energy. That universal karma comes back around. Nobody escapes Saturn.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, you think that at some point in our lives, and being more specific to the conversation, going back to individualism, there always is an inner pursuit for greatness. We have it, or many. I'm not saying everyone, but just generally, we want to do something great. We want to do something good. And understanding what it takes to get there, there's a great sacrifice, right? There's a level of accountability. There's a level of responsibility. There is maturity. You have to mature, and maturity doesn't happen overnight or the switch of a light. Sometimes you have to be pruned. Some things have to be cut away so other things could grow. And then some will come by that and water it, while others will look upon it and speak kind words upon it as time grows. The sun, you see where I'm going?
As above, so below.
So now when you look at the idea of working corporately or working collectively, as those roots are being, those healthy, clean roots are being planted into the foundation of the earth or the ground for others to grow as somebody else come by and water, while now here comes the increase. So you're multiplying, you're duplicating authentic, new, inspired people with vision, but we're doing it together. But it had to start with one person to lead the way, or one idea, or one thought, right? That's my thinking. Charge it to the internet. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I would say that that's exactly what is needed is one thought. And that's what collectivism is at the end of the day. It is one word, but it's one thought. It's one way of moving. Right. Well,
Yeah.
what's that one way? Along the lines of nature. That's what we need in collectivism more than anything else, is us ingesting nature, us embedding ourselves in nature, us allowing nature to help us be guided down our journeys, down our paths of life. And in not having that, what we have is these problems that we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to destroy nature. We're supposed to become a part of nature. And in that space, it's like the person who decides, you know what, I'm going to stop trying to swim against this current. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay back and
Yeah.
I'm going to let the current take me. Well, in that space, you become the most powerful because
It's,
now you're wielding the natural energy, the natural current, and you're not fighting against. You're not creating this friction. You're
right.
moving in harmony.
Right. Right. I was going to share on lines of the conversation where, have you ever been sitting around outside in nature on your patio, and because you have done the work and you're feeling good this morning, you see the bees and the flies, they just want to just hang around you. You understand what I'm saying? You see nature just want to hang around you. Before, usually like, man, get the bee away from me. I'm scared. And sometimes I go on my patio, man, I just sitting around. I'm like, man, what butterfly?
Yeah.
And you understand? So what happens to one when they're experiencing that? Because you only see that on Disney.
And notice when you see it on Disney, notice the character that you see it happen to on Disney. All right. So this is about vibrational frequency,
Right.
right? This is about when we're at peace and when we have the anger and the frustration and the doubt and the guilt and the disbelief all dialed down.
Right.
This is when our vibration is a vibration where we can speak to the plants, where we can talk to the animals when they
Oh,
talk to us through that voice that we call spirit, or we may call Yeshua or Jesus or Krishna or Kalima or Allah or whatever we may call that voice. But the reality of the situation is very, very simple. It is
right.
also, it is not all, it's not also, it is vibrational frequency that we have attuned ourselves to. So in that space, now the butterfly will feel comfortable with your resonant frequency. You might light up to a bee like a flower might light up when they're looking for pollen based on vibrational frequency.
Yeah.
This could be likened to shape shifting or all kinds of different ways of thinking about this from a symbolic type of perspective.
And I didn't start having this. I never started having these experiences until I came to Texas. So I don't know if it's the Texas air, Texas water, but I've never really experienced it at this level since I've been here in Dallas. I mean,
It's you.
it'll be a waltz, bro, and and bees and butterflies, and I just be like, oh man, and they just hang around. I thought it was
Well,
a clone.
let's do this. Let's do a test then, right? Um, have you changed your diet since you moved from Virginia to Texas?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Tremendously.
Have
Tremendously.
you changed your entertainment content since you have moved from Virginia to Texas?
Absolutely. To some degree.
Have Have you changed your circle of people since you moved from Virginia to Texas?
2,300%. Wait a minute. 24%. Yeah.
All of these things work in combination to help a person create their vibrational frequency, their vibrational energy, right? So if you're doing things that are aligned with maturity, accountability, responsibility, humility, and sacrifice, and you've been doing that consistently, and you just been raising the level a little bit at a time, well, that's going to ultimately bring you back to one place, nature.
And you can get nature for $19.99 with zero packaging and shipping.
But that brings us back to what the show is about. So thank you to
Yeah.
everybody who is watching and who's tuned in. We're talking about collectivism versus individualism. Please love, share, comment, all of that. Please tell your mama, your girlfriend, your homie. Please tell everybody that we out here talking about this important topic
Yeah.
within uplifting our communities. But vibrational frequency is super important when we're talking about collectivism. If we're moving primarily in individualism, then the vibrational frequency of most people is very low. In collectivism, the vibrational frequency is raised.
Mm. Mm.
All thoughts are working together to
Mm.
make each thought strong.
Mm.
Well, if that's what thought is doing, any of those thoughts that are emotionalized creates directions for the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is going to create those things in real time, in their quote unquote real life. So, what does that look like? That looks like things of righteousness being created from this person and that person, and Sally and Becky and Teton and Ferdinand and Ray Ray and Pookie and Keisha. And if you
Right.
have all of these different communities, you got all these different leaders creating things of righteousness. Well, now what you start to see is not only does the womb of women get healed, not only does the mind of man get healed, but you also see the earth get healed. You also start to see various other things happen all in our environment simply because each person is operating in a specific level of righteousness that, let's say, is their highest clip or as close to it as possible. While right now, we have a lot of people who are working toward their lowest, and it is being glorified and has been for a very long time. This is individualism at its worst. There is its best in individualism, just like collectivism also can have its worst. There's
Mm.
its polarities in all of these things. It's a vibrational frequency with a scale of different types of variations within that mindset and the outcome of thinking these ways.
Excellent. Excellent. Sir, excellent, excellent. You are definitely in scholarship on this great, wonderful Tuesday afternoon.
As you are, my brother. But I think we have come to the end of episode 18, Collectivism
Peace.
versus Individual. And I would like to say this. Thank you again to everybody
Yeah.
who tunes in. Please get these messages out because we have some days ahead that are uncertain, and these messages can uplift that person who is down, that person who doesn't know what to do, that person who is scared. They have fear, they have guilt, they have doubt, and they need to see a couple of brothers who done got it out the mud and got it out of the mud multiple times, had to start from scratch, and we still here. And they can't stop us even on their best day. On our worst day, we still triumph. We're here for you. If you need us, get in touch. All right. Y'all be blessed. And
Boy.
expose